Hello and welcome to Fearless DIY Music. My name is Tristan Lass, and today we're going to go through the process that I undertook to finish the ToneBomb neck that I reviewed about a month and a half ago here on the channel. I will link that video down below. I unboxed it on camera, did a quick spec check on it, and the only thing I would change from my review in that unboxing video is that the fretboard itself was not as highly finished as I thought it was, so I did have to do some work on that to bring it up to snuff. So when I received this neck, the frets were just installed. They had not been beveled, they had not been leveled, they had not been polished, and the neck itself was just off of a CNC machine with just some not even really rough sanding on it. So I will go through the steps that it took for me to arrive at this finished neck. The very first thing that I did to do so was to go ahead and grab my fret beveling file, and I beveled the fret ends. So I got a nice 45-degree angle using this file on both sides. I did that first because you don't want to do that before you start doing finish sanding on the wood, because I went ahead and took the bevel and moved it in to the point, worked it so that I got rolled fretboard edges on both sides, so that it's very smooth, very nice, good feel to the hand. You don't want to go ahead and go through all the work of sanding it and then do the bevel, and then you're going to have to resand all these edges anyway. So first step was the bevel. And I'm going to go ahead and grab my little list here so that we go through step by step in order so that you know what to do when either you make a guitar neck and you've just installed the frets and you haven't finished sanded yet, or if you buy a neck like this that's just roughed in, save a little money that way, or some of this would apply just to a general refret of a guitar, because that's basically where it was sitting. The frets were installed, but there was no finishing work on them whatsoever. All right, so then I started the finish sanding process. Basically, at that point, I had them beveled in. I hit it with 220, then 320, then 420, every surface, making sure to go ahead and smooth out all the contours, make it look like, you know, a factory finished neck. Because all this stuff was just straight 90-degree angles because it was off a CNC machine. After I finished sanding everything out, I went ahead and grabbed my handy dandy cork, wrapped this in 400 grit sandpaper, and did my fret ends. So finishing the fret ends, a lot of times people say, well, you use a file and you sit and you go and you get all the sharp edges off. I find that if you wrap a cork with a little bit of sandpaper and just run it at a 45-degree angle like that, the cork material has enough give that it works its way in between every little nook and cranny there, and with that 400 grit sandpaper yields a beautiful finished edge to all of your fret ends. And it takes a fraction of the time. So highly recommend this method. Next step was the fret level itself. So I have a picture up here. I taped off the fretboard, got out my leveling block, grabbed some 400 grit sandpaper once again, and leveled the frets. I was very pleased with the fret leveling process. Not much material had to be removed. Per the unboxing video, the frets were well installed and relatively even. So that was a pretty light lift as far as the process goes. Next up, I crowned and polished everything. I will link below my full video on the method that I use for that. It's quite simple. Once I have them leveled, I go ahead and just use, I use a rubber glove on this hand. I use 600 grit sandpaper to 1500 grit sandpaper to steel wool. And it's an unconventional method. If you're interested in it, check out the video. But I find that the pad of your finger basically shapes itself perfectly to the fret as you go. It yields a perfect crown and polish. And then I finish with ultrafine steel wool. All right. With that part done, I went ahead and went back and I did go over everything one more time with 400 grit just to make sure that I got any dirt, any dust, any residue from the leveling and crowning process and polishing process off of the neck. I wanted the neck to be perfectly clean and perfectly smooth so that I could then apply the oil. And quite simply, I just used a few light coats of lemon oil on the neck. I will continue to do those applications here over the next few days just to make sure the wood really takes it, and that should give it enough protection, because I keep my guitars in, very controlled environments as far as humidity and temperature. I'm not worried about anything other than the oil being enough to keep this neck healthy and adjustable for the foreseeable future. Anyway, so that is the process. If you've ever done anything like this, please leave it in the comments if there's other things that you do or things that you do differently or in a different order. One of the important things, though, about the finishing sanding before taping it off and fret leveling is that this guitar was roughed in. If I had put that blue tape onto the neck with that rough wood, I would have had tear out. I would have been pulling wood grain out. So you want to make sure that you have the neck glassy smooth so that when you apply your tape, and your fretboard, so that when you apply your tape, the tape comes off clean, you're not leaving any residue or risking the worst case scenario of ripping some wood grain out. Anyway, there it is. The next video that you'll see this neck in will be which guitar it's going on and the other modifications we'll be doing to that instrument. I look forward to it. And while you're here, why don't you like and share, hit subscribe, and leave something in the comments if there's anything that I left out or anything that you would do differently in this process of finishing out a guitar neck and the frets. All right, you take care, hit subscribe, and we'll see you next time.